Good morning, good morning. It's Sunday, September 22nd. 2 years since Chubb went to heaven, but it's still a good day. I start work today, so I'm a little nervous about that, but I've already worked at this building, so I mean, it's fine. I'll be alright. Anyway, so please don't be bully in the chat. Be kind to each other. Y'all know the rules for what I ask of. Anyways, I'm Sandra and I'm an alcoholic. Today is AA day. Yay. And I will be able to do my AA still on Sundays and Tuesdays. I'll do them before I go to work. So that works out great. Alright, so let's get into it. If you have a book, please follow along. If not, it's alright. I'm going to read them anyway. Hey, sis. 1. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol. Oh, wait. I forgot to do the serenity prayer. Always forgetting something. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Okay, the steps. 1. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore sanity. 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defective characters. 7. Humbly ask Him to remove our shortcomings. 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. 9. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10. Continue to take personal inventory and when wrong, promptly admit it. 11. Stop through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry the message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. So we are in the big book. I always put the description, what book we're reading, what chapter we're reading or story, and name of it and the page number. So today we are in the Family Afterward, chapter 9, page 127, and I'm starting at Since the Home. Since the home has suffered more than anything else, it is well that a man exert himself there. He is not likely to get far in any direction if he fails to show unselfishness and love under his own roof. We know there are difficult wives and families, but the man who is getting over alcoholism must remember he did much to make them so. As each member of a resentful family begins to see his shortcomings and admits them to the others, he lays by basis for helpful discussion. These family talks will be constructive if they can be carried on without heated argument, self-pity, self-justification, or resentful criticism. Little by little, mother and children will see they ask too much, and father will see he gives too little. Giving rather than getting will become the guiding principle. Assume, on the other hand, that father has at the onset a stirring spiritual experience. Overnight, as it were, he is a different man. He becomes a religious enthusiast. He is unable to focus on anything else as soon as his sobriety begins to be taken as a matter of course. The family may look at their strange new dad with appreciation or apprehension, then with irritation. Oh, I said it right the first time. Appreciation. There is talk about spiritual matter morning, noon, and night. He may demand that his family find God in a hurry or exhibit amazing indifference to them and say he is above worldly considerations. He may tell mother, who has been religious all her life, that she doesn't know what it's all about, and that she had better get his brand of spirituality while there is yet time. When father takes this tack, the family may react unfavorably. They may be jealous of a God who has stolen dad's affections, while grateful that he drinks no more. They may not like the idea that God has accomplished a miracle where they failed. They often forget Father was beyond human aid. They may not see why their love and devotion did not straighten him out. That is not so spiritual after all, they say. If he means to right his past wrongs, why all this concern for everyone in the world but his family? What about his talk with God will take care of them? They suspect Father is a bit balmy. He is not so unbalanced as they might think. Many of us had experienced that elation. We have indulged in spiritual intoxication. Like a gaunt prospector felt drawn in over the last ounce of food, or picked struck gold, joy at our release from a lifetime of frustration knew no bounds. Excuse me. Father feels he has struck something better than gold. For a time he may try to hug the new treasure of himself. He may not see at once that he has barely scratched the limitless load which will pay dividends only if he mines it for the rest of his life and insists on giving away the entire product. If the family cooperates, dad will soon see that he is suffering from a distortion of value. He will perceive that his spiritual growth is lopsided, that for an average man like himself a spiritual life which does not include his family obligations may not be so perfect after all. If the family will appreciate that dad's current behavior is but a phase of his development, all will be well. In the midst of an understanding and sympathetic family, these vagaries of dad's spiritual infancy will quickly disappear. The opposite may happen should the family condemn and criticize. Dad may feel that for years his drinking has placed him on the wrong side of every argument, but that now he has come a superior person with God on his side. If the family persists in criticism, this policy may take a still greater hold on father. Instead of treating the family as he should, he may retreat farther into himself and feel he has spiritual justification for doing so, or for so doing. So the family does not fully agree with dad's spiritual activities, they should let him have his head, even if he displays a certain amount of neglect and irresponsibility towards the family. It is well to let him go as far as he likes is helping other alcoholics during those first days of convalescence. This will do more to ensure his sobriety than anything else. Though some of his manifestations are alarming and disagreeable, we think Dad will be a firmer foundation than the man who is placed his business or professional success ahead of spiritual development. He will be less likely to drink again, and anything is preferable to that. Those of us who have spent much time in the world of spiritual make believe have eventually seen the childishness of it. This dream world has been replaced by a great sense of purpose, accompanied by a growing consciousness of the power of God in our life. We have come to believe He would like us to keep our heads in the clouds with Him, but that our feet ought to be firmly planted on earth. That is where our fellow travelers are. At that, and that is where our work must be done. These are the realities for us. We have found nothing incomparable between a powerful spiritual experience and a life of sane and happy usefulness. One more suggestion, whether the family has spiritual convictions or not. They may do well to examine the principles by which the alcoholic member is trying to live. We can hardly fail to improve or to approve these simple principles, though the head of the house still fails somewhat in practicing them. Nothing will help the man who is off on a spiritual tangent so much as the wife who adopts a sane spiritual program, making better practical use of it. There will be other profound changes in the household. Liquor incapacitated father for so many years that mother became head of the house. She met these responsibilities gallantly. By force of circumstances, she was often obliged to treat father as a sick or wayward child. Excuse me. Even when he wanted to assert himself, he could not, for his drinking placed him constantly in the wrong. Mother made all the plans and gave the directions. When sober, father usually obeyed. Thus, mother, through no fault of her own, became accustomed to wearing the family trousers. Father, coming suddenly to life again, often begins to assert himself. These tendencies is these tendencies in each other and comes to a friendly agreement about them. Drinking isolates most homes from the outside world. Father may have laid aside for years all normal activities, clubs, civic duties, sports. When he renews interest in such things, a feeling of jealousy may arise. The family may feel they hold a mortgage or a mortgage on dad so big that no equity should be left for outsiders instead of developing new channels of activity for themselves. Father and children demand that he stay home and make up the deficiency. At the very beginning, the couple ought to frankly face the fact that each will have a have to yield here and there if the family is going to play on effective play an effective part in the new life. Father will necessarily spend much time with other alcoholics, but this activity should be balanced. New acquaintances who know nothing of alcoholism might be made and thoughtful consideration given their needs. The problem of the community might engage attention, though the family has no religious connection. They may wish to make contact with or take membership in a religious body. Alcoholics who have derided religious people will be helpful by such contact. Being possessed of a spiritual experience, the alcoholic will find he has much in common with these people, though he may differ with them on many matters. If he does not argue about religion, he will make new friends and is sure to find new avenues of usefulness and pleasure. He and his family can be a bright spot in such congregation. He may bring new hope and new courage to many a priest, minister, or rabbi who give his all to minister to our troubled world. We intend the foregoing as a helpful suggestion only. So far as we are concerned, there is nothing obligatory about it. As non-denominational people, we cannot make up others' minds for them. Each individual should consult with his own conscience. We have been speaking to you of serious, sometimes tragic things. We have been dealing with alcohol in its worst aspects, but we aren't a gloom lot. If newcomers could see no joy or fun in our experience, they wouldn't want it. Oh, my neck. We absolutely insist on enjoying life. We try not to indulge in criticism, whatever that word is, over the state of nations, nor do we carry the world's troubles on our shoulders. When we see a man sinking into the mire that is alcoholism, we give him first aid and place what we have at his disposal. For his sake, we do not recount at almost relive, relive the horrors of our past. But those of us who have tried to shoulder the entire burden and trouble of others find we are soon overcome by them. So we think cheerfulness and laughter make for usefulness. Outsiders are sometimes shocked. Even we burst into merriment over a seemingly tragic experience out of the past. But why shouldn't we laugh? We have recovered and have been given the power to help others. Everybody knows that in bad health and those who seldom play do not laugh much. So let each family play together or separately, how much as their circumstances warrant. We are sure God wants us to be happy, joyous, and free. We cannot subscribe to the belief that this is a value of tears, though is though it once was just that for many of us. But it is clear that we made our own misery. God didn't do it. Avoid then the deliberate manufacture of misery. But if trouble comes, cheerfully capitalize it as an opportunity to demonstrate his omnipresence. Now about health. A body badly burned by alcohol does not often recover overnight, nor do twisted thinking and depression vanish in a twinkling. We are convinced that a spiritual mode of living is a most powerful health restorative. We who have recovered from serious drinking are miracles of mental health. But we have seen remarkable transformations in our bodies. Hardly one of our crowd now shows any mark of dis- dissipation. But this does not mean that we disregard human health measures. God has abundantly supplied his world with fine doctors, psychologists, and practitioners of various kinds. Do not hesitate to take your health problem to such persons. Most of them give freely of themselves, that their fellows may enjoy sound minds and bodies. Try to remember that though God has wrought miracles among us. We should never belittle a good doctor or psychiatrist. Their services are often indispensable in treating a newcomer and in following his case afterward. One of the many doctors who had the opportunity of reading this book in manuscript form told us that the use of sweets was often helped, of course, depending upon the doctor's advice. He thought all alcoholics should constantly have chocolate available for its quick energy value at times of fatigue. He added that occasionally in the night a vague craving arose which would be satisfied by candy. Many of us have noticed a tendency to eat sweets and have found this practice beneficial. A word about adult relations. Alcohol is so adult relation stimulating to some men that they have overindulged. Couples are occasionally dismayed to find that when drinking is stopped, the man tends to be impotent, unless the reason is understood. There may be an emotional upset. Some of us had this experience only to enjoy in a few months a finer tendency or intimacy than ever. There should be no hesitancy in consulting a doctor or psychiatrist if the condition persists. We do not know of many cases where this difficulty lasted long. Alcoholics may find it hard to re-establish friendly relations with his children. Their young minds were impressible while he was drinking. Without saying so, they may cordially hate him for what he has done to them and to their mother. The children are sometimes dominated by a pathetic hardness or cynicism. They cannot seem to forgive and forget. This may hang on for months, long after their mother had accepted Dad's new way of living and thinking. In time, they will see that he is a new man, and in their own way, they will let him know it. When this happens, they can be invited to join in morning meditation, and then they can take part in the daily discussion without rancor or bias. From that point on, will be rapid, progress will be rapid. Marvelous results often follow such a reunion. Whether the family goes on a spiritual basis or not, the alcoholic member has to, if he would recover. The others must be convinced of his new status beyond the shadow of a doubt. Seeing is believing to most families who have lived with a drinker. Here is a case to point one of our friends is a heavy smoker and coffee drinker. There was no doubt he overindulged. Seeing this and meaning to be helpful, his wife commenced to admonish him about it. He admitted he was overwhelmed or overdoing these things, but frankly said that he was not ready to stop. His wife is one of those persons who really feels there is something rather than sinful about these commodities. So she nagged, and her intolerance finally threw him into a fit of anger. He got drunk. Of course, our friend was dead wrong. He had to painfully admit that and mend his spiritual fences. Though he is now a most effective member of Alcoholics Anonymous, he still smokes and drinks coffee, but neither his wife nor anyone else stands in judgment. She sees she was wrong to make a burning issue of out of such a matter when his more serious ailment were being rapidly cured. We have three little mottos which are promised. Here they are. First things first, live and let live, and easy does it. So I was a drinker. I'm an alcoholic of my family. My immediate family, my husband and my kids. My boys were teenagers when I was off drinking. They were in high school. And so, yeah, they saw it. They watched me. And then I had to apologize for all that I had done during those times. And I tell you, it was not easy to go to them and admit, number one, that I was an alcoholic. Obviously, they knew that because my oldest brought home a thing from school because I drank alcohol or was drinking alcohol all the time. It was in his health class. So he brought it home. They were doing the studies on alcohol. Hey, ran girl, and I read it kind of. I looked at it. Let me be honest. Um, I read where it said it would do damage to my body, and I may not wake up. At that point in time, I didn't really care. I mean, I fought my whole life, all the way up till I was 30, to not become the alcoholic that I knew ran in my blood. Some people don't believe that it runs in the family. I say it does. Obviously, there's a reason why people in the same family end up, being the alcoholic. But anyway, I had to find my spiritual things. I'm baptized. I don't go to church, but I do know that there's a higher power. I do have a religion. I don't practice it, but what I do practice is working my steps every day. I I can't go a day without knowing that I have my steps that I'm doing every day. And you don't even realize after you've been sober for a long time, you don't even realize that you're doing that without, you know, telling yourself you need to. Hi, Riza. Good afternoon to you too. Um, so For me, I see you there, Brandy. For for me, having the fellowship and the tools and the books and my sponsees and my sponsors. Yes, I had two sponsors. One of them passed away. December will be 2 years ago, I believe. Anyways, um, so being able to work my program helps me every day. Once you get used to it and you've been doing it for years, maybe it doesn't even take you years like it did me, but um, it only took me a couple months to be able to recite the 12 steps without reading the book. But I take pride in being able to do that because it means I'm actually listening and that I've learned something from it. And it doesn't matter how many times you read these stories in these books, something always catches your eye, uh, catches your mind, you reflect to it. Like a family cooperates, Dad will soon see that he is suffering from a distortion of values. He will perceive that his spiritual growth is lopsided, that for an average man like himself, a spiritual life which does not include his family obligations may not be so perfect after all. And having the family, it might take them a little while to understand that you have to do this for you, and you gotta figure it out and figure out how to balance your family life and your AA life, your sobriety life, your friends life. Um, being able to help somebody out is a very good thing. And yeah, sometimes we do neglect that our families might want our attention too, especially when you're really into your sobriety. I am into my sobriety all the way, but I learned that I have to have space for my family as well. And if I'm feeling overwhelmed with thoughts, I I am able to talk to my family members about it and explain to them, this is what's going on. I need to walk away for a little bit. And then I go back and if it was something that I need to make amends for, that's what I do. I make my amends. Me and my twin sister were neighbors, we're best friends, we're sisters, identical twins. We do have our problems. We do argue. And we do stomp and we throw fits. We get mad at each other. And just like it doesn't take any time for us to come back and say that was really dumb. Why were we arguing? There was nothing to argue about. And sometimes it's the dumbest thing that you can think of. Like, I don't know, a pair of flip flops. Just saying. But no, my sister is amazing. Her and her husband help us out a lot. And we do the same if we can. We help them out a lot when we can. But that's what we do for our families is eventually once you get the hang of being sober, you'll just flow back into being that family person. Um, I know I did. It took me a little bit to really let my family in on my alcoholism and my feelings about it and having all this joy coming in and feeling like, okay, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta keep stepping, I gotta keep, help this, I gotta do that to stay sober. And that's what it is when you first get sober. It's like that's all you care about. And it's a good thing, but then we have to snap into it and say, oh yeah, I gotta add my family into my sobriety. But you can't do that until you have that sobriety. And believe me, you have bad days, but it's it's good no matter what because you're sober and your family knows that you're sober. They trust in you that you are keeping you sober. And they look forward to being able to have that day with you of sobriety and have that family time. But I'm glad I'm sober. I'm coming up on 10 years, and my sponsor's coming up on 13 or 14. I think it's 13. I think she just got 12. She's 2 or 3 years older than me, and I'm coming up on 10 in 2 months. Well, less than 2 months. But, anyways, guys, I'm going to go ahead and read the daily reflection and let you guys go back to your Sunday, and I got to get ready for work. In case you don't know, you can get the app on your iPad, your tablet, your phone, whatever you got. Um, you can get the app for your daily reflections, and they've got the books in there, audio books, and all kinds of stuff in it. So, all right, September 22nd, a limitless load. Like a gaunt prospector, belt drawn in over the last ounce of food, our pick struck gold. Joy at our release from a lifetime of frustration knew no bounds. Father feels he has struck something better than gold. How does this happen? I just read this in the big book. For a time, he may try to hug the new treasure to himself. He may not see at once that he has barely scratched a limitless load, which will pay dividends only if he minds it for the rest of his life and insists on giving away the entire product. That is so crazy. Just read that. And it says Alcoholics Anonymous, page 128 and 129. Yep, just read it. When I talk with a newcomer to AA, my past looks me straight in the face. I see the pain in those hopeful eyes. I extend my hand and then the miracle happens. I become healed. My problems vanish as I reach out to the trembling soul. Anyways, like I said, I'm happy to be sober and I hope you guys are having a great day and stay sober and be positive and enjoy your day. I love you guys. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Now you come bug me, huh? Now you come bug me, Mr. Copper. I love you. Love you guys. Be safe out there. Be kind.